for cleared to play, take you inside the tent, get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment and bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya. And I'm going to say it to you right now, Doc, and Dibs is going to hate me for it, but it's the first time we've talked to you. So, Happy New Year, Doc.
Happy New Year. Yeah, you could say this for the whole month of January. It's still Happy New Year. All
That's medically inaccurate.
Take that, Dibs.
Doc Pandya, and you and I both highly educated. You know better, Doc. You're better than that. It's January 11th. It's time to turn the page.
we can debate about that offline, Dan, but yeah.
Perfect, yes. All right.
There's some Warrior stuff to get to for sure, but I'm going to ask you just a projection question. Because it seems to be something people want to talk about. Let's say January 29th, the 49ers are still playing football. And let's say Brock Purdy tweaks a little something. And here comes James Garoppolo onto the field. Yeah. Should 49er fans be like, great? Or in your mind, are you going to see someone who moves even less than he normally does?
Yeah, I think, just kind of hearing the reports, he's kind of just putting a little weight on it, not really putting full weight on it. I mean, I think by that point, assuming this is a normal break, the bone should be healed. But the real question is how much mobility and movement and strength will he have back? And I think that's the key thing is that there's healed for like the regular person who's on the street and then like being healed and rehabbed and strong enough to play. So I think we would probably see a less mobile Jimmy G out there. I think he's absolutely capable to be out there and play, but it could be very hard for him to be effective, and that would be the main concern. It's not necessarily can he play, but how well will he play.
Yeah, and we know that an immobile Jimmy G is not very different from a mobile Jimmy G, so hopefully we don't have to face that. From the hypothetical to the actual medical, Steph Curry comes back after nearly 4 weeks out with the shoulder subluxation. What did you see in terms of his left shoulder mobility last night?
He definitely did look a little bit more hesitant, and I think that's not unexpected given the nature of this injury. I mean, I think when you have a lower extremity injury, you know a little bit more about what to feel. Like people have soreness in their lower extremities, but this upper extremity, it's a very hard injury to kind of get that confidence back. So he seemed to be moving a little bit more gingerly. He wasn't necessarily moving his arm as fluidly when he was going around. He obviously was taking less shots. So I think that's expected. It's going to take 7 to 10 days to get that confidence back. Because the key thing with this is just like he injured it, it was an unexpected blow. You're kind of going around the basketball court and trying to avoid unexpected contact sometimes, and it's hard to do that. So I think he's definitely going to be a little bit more cautious, but I think we'll see his confidence get better and better as the games go on. But his conditioning looked great. That was my biggest concern was how much conditioning could he do. I think the confidence and his shooting touch will come back, but the hesitancy, totally expected at this time point.
Doc, I feel like we've asked you this before, but the calendar suggests we ask it again. We're at the 1-year anniversary of Klay Thompson's return to the court, and he's still not playing back-to-back games. Does that make any sense to you?
It absolutely does. And I think people, once they see him back on the court, they're thinking, wow, this is, he should be back. They shouldn't have these issues. And even when you look at a single injury, like just an ACL, just an Achilles, it's year 2 and year 3, you still see some of the physical deficits. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have great performances like he had. But the high minutes, the usage, the back-to-backs, even after one injury will be there. And now we're talking 2 injuries and someone who's over age 30 and playing on an NBA court. So it totally makes sense to me. And I think we saw this the past 5 or 6 games where he was playing high minutes and then he had knee soreness. So absolutely, I think he's clearly capable of doing it. He can do it in short periods of time. But anytime something pops up, maybe before the injury where you'd let him play through it, I think you're just going to be careful so he doesn't become someone who's on the injury report. Kind of like Kevin Durant has had these MCLs, these hamstrings coming back off his Achilles when he's been playing high minutes.
From one player to another on the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga sprained right foot. He'll be reevaluated in a week. That reevaluation happened earlier this week. What's your sense of when Kuminga might be able to come back off this nagging little injury?
I think he is out of the boot, which is obviously the key thing, because typically whenever you see that boot, they're trying to get the inflammation and pain down, and the fact that he's out of it usually means they're on to that next phase of rehab where they're getting you to walk on it, potentially doing some running. So I would think in general, if this is kind of your garden variety kind of foot sprain, potentially 7 to 10 days, barring any setbacks. So I think that'll be positive for him. And I think the team, as we saw last night, clearly needs his defensive presence and kind of that inside the paint kind of skill. So hopefully he'll be cleared and back on that court, hopefully within that time frame.
We look forward to another great year with you here in 2023. Doc Pandya, once again, for Dibs especially. Happy New Year, Doc.
Yeah, happy New Year, Mark. I'll keep every week we do this segment. I'll say Happy New Year until February.
Perfect.